All right, good afternoon, team, and thank you for joining me as I present ELA data on Montclair Elementary. We will be looking at ELA data to improve scores for students with disabilities. So before we begin the presentation, I kind of just want to give you some background information on Montclair. Montclair is located in Brookhaven, Georgia. It is a part of the DeKalb County School System. It originally opened in 1967, and originally it housed grades K through 7th, but a new wing was added in 2004 to accommodate the growing population of Brookhaven, Georgia, and the school currently serves 675 students. And it also has a diverse student population that represents several different countries. So that's just some background information on Montclair. Let's talk about the demographics of the school, okay? 2% are American Indian, 6.8% Black, 8% Asian, 90.9% Hispanic, 2% multiracial, 1% white, 94% of our school, 94.5% of our school is economically disadvantaged. 85.7% are English language learners, and 9.6% of our students have disabilities. Okay. I would also like to go over our data analysis team. A part of our team, I have myself, Keandra Atkins, who is the lead teacher for Montclair Elementary. I have 10 years of experience. We also have Ms. Calhoun, who is the assistant principal. She has 15 years of experience. Mr. Dickens, who is our 5th grade co-teacher. He's also our department chair. He has 8 years of experience. Ms. Borton, who's also our 4th grade teacher. She has 24 years of experience. Ms. Johnson is our resource teacher. She has 24 years of experience. And we have regular general ed teachers, Ms. Roberts and Dr. Brundage, who also they have 18 years of experience, and Dr. Brundage has 21 years of experience. So that's our data analysis team. All right. The team reviewed Georgia milestone scores from 2018, 2019, and 2021. Due to COVID, we do not have any data for the school year 2020. The students were not required to test, so we don't have any milestone data. So for the sake of this presentation, I will be only reviewing data from the years 2018, 2019, and 2021. We will also review students' fall MAP assessment scores. And we will also look at the number of students with disability in the special education classroom, which is the resource classroom, and also in the co-taught setting. The total number of students with disability at Montclair Elementary is 46 students, and we will use the Atlas Data Analysis Protocol to analyze this data. Are there any questions so far? Okay. All right. To begin, we are going to look at the student learning content mastery. We're going to look at the years 2018, 19, and 21. As you can see, in 2018, 31.7% of the students mastered ELA. And in 2019, we did have an increase. So we did make a little gain. 37.1% of the students mastered in ELA. But if we take a look at 2021, we see that there was a dip in our level of student, in the level, or in the number of students that mastered ELA. And we know that there were several barriers and factors that affected this score. So in 2021, 27.6% of our students here at Montclair mastered ELA. So if we can just look at the trend, we see almost a 10% decrease, and we know that that was a result of the pandemic. All right, so let's look at student learning. Again, I do not have data for 2020, but this is just a breakdown of the scores from 2018, 2019, and 2021. 57% of our students in 2018 were beginner learners, 29% developing, 13% proficient, and 1% distinguished. In 2019, 51% were beginning learners, 36% developing, 11% proficient, and 9% distinguished. Now let's look at 2021. 73% were beginning learners, 22% developing, 4% proficient, and 1% distinguished. So we can see that just based on this trend, our students missing, due to the pandemic, our students missed a lot of skills. So we do recognize as educators that we have a lot of gaps to fill and a lot of work to do to try to close this gap. So we went from 57% in 2018 to 73% in 2021. Right, it certainly did. Thank you for the observation, but it certainly did. Okay, now we're gonna look at the breakdown by grade level. So you see I have 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, and I have the year, again, 2018, 19, and 2021. So we're gonna do a 3-year comparison based on the grade level. So 66 3rd graders were in the beginning level, 53% 4th graders beginning level, and 51% of 5th graders were at a beginning level. In 2019, 49% were developed learners in 3rd grade, 46% of 4th graders in 2019, and in 5th grade, 58% in 2019 were developing learners. In 2021, we see a huge increase in beginning learners, 79% in 3rd grade, 70% in 4th grade, and 70% in 5th grade. In 2018, we have for developing learners, 23% in 3rd grade, 4th grade, 33%, 5th grade, 32%, and in 2019, we have for beginning learners, 40% in 3rd grade, 33% in 4th grade, and 5th grade, 24%. In 2021, 20% of our 3rd graders were developing learners, 4%, in fourth grade, 22%, and in fifth grade, 24%. And in 2018, for proficient learners, 9% of third graders, 15% of fourth graders, and 16% of fifth graders. In 2019, 11% of third graders, 12% of fourth graders, and 9% of fifth graders. In 21, 1% of third graders, 6% of fourth graders, and 6% of fifth graders. Distinguished learners in 2018, 2% third graders, 0% fourth graders, and 1% fifth graders. In 2019, we didn't have any distinguished third grader learners. Fourth grade, we had 6%, fifth grade, 0%. And in third grade, 2021, we didn't have any distinguished learners. In fourth grade, we did have 2%. And in fifth grade, no distinguished learners. So let's just take a second to kind of look at that data. So we do know that when the students were out of school in 2020, that impacted their learning, and that shows in the data that we see, the trend in the data from 2018 to 2019, especially from 2019 to 2021. So there is a decline. Okay. Now, let's break it down even further. Let's look at how the students with disability currently enrolled in our school performed on the Georgia Milestone. In 2018, 92% were beginning learners, 3% developing learners, 5% proficient, and we didn't have any distinguished learners for 2018. In 2019, 85% of our students were beginning learners, 15% developing, and we didn't have any proficient or distinguished learners in 2019. In 2021, 90% of our students with disabilities were beginning learners and 10% were developing learners. Again, we do see that trend from 2019 to 2021. We do see how the pandemic impacted the learning of our students. Okay, so currently, this is the service model for students with disabilities in our school at Montclair Elementary in ELA. In third grade, we have about 10 students, 70% are in the special education resource classroom, and 30% are in the general education classroom, and they are receiving co-taught services. In fourth grade, 90% of our students are in resource class, and 10% are in the general education classroom where they are receiving co-taught services. In fifth grade, 80% of our students are in resource classroom, and 20% are in the general education setting receiving co-taught services.
Ms. Atkins.
Yes.
I have a question, please. I know at the beginning it was like 9% of our population is SWD. What are our numbers? Have you shared that with us per grade level? Did I miss that? I'm sorry.
Yes, we have in third grade about 10 kids, fourth grade 10, and 15, 13. So for the sake of this presentation, I only use numbers for third, fourth, and fifth grade because those are our testing grades.
Right, okay. I just wanted to see thank you.
Okay, and overall at our school, we have total 51 students, but a couple of them are only speech only. So I did not use their data. I only use our students who are receiving academic services.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, so I also, in addition to the Georgia Milestone Assessment, I also looked at MAP scores. For 4th grade, the reading level band, and this is the band that students should fall within to be considered on grade level. That band is 201 to 209. The district grade reading level mean is 215. And we have, here I've explained 183 and below, 8 students fell within this range. 1 student scored between 184 and 192. And we have another student here, 1 student that fell within the range of 193 to 201. And we did have 1 student that is currently on grade level according to the MAP data. And so that student fell between 202 to 201. And we didn't have any students that are performing above or exceeding the district mean or norm. And those are just the 4th grade RIT scores. Okay, let's take a look at 5th grade. The norm for 5th grade, students should fall within 193 to 201, and the reading level mean is 212. So 11 of our students basically are below grade level. They scored between 191 and below. We had a student to fall within 192 to 200. So they are on grade level, and we have 1 student that scored 201 to 209 that is slightly above grade level. But however, we didn't have any students to exceed district mean or the norm for 5th grade. So that's just an overview of the 4th and the 5th grade MAP reading assessments. Okay, and I just kind of want to go over some data I received from a survey that I sent to teachers, and I just wanted to review that scale. Of the special education teachers who participated in the survey, 50% thought that their general education colleagues were highly prepared to work with students with disability. They also, but the teachers did feel, both general ed and special ed, that they were not giving ample time to plan with peers and had questions about their ability to co-teach with colleagues. So we do know that there could be some training that needs to be done with teachers and co-teachers to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our students with disabilities. Also, the special education teachers use the IEPs to help determine, to help plan for students' learning. And they did say that their general ed colleagues are more likely to view IEPs, but we still need to understand that they should understand the student's goal and have those accommodations and a modification, even though they're not special education teachers. So that's just some perception data that was collected from the survey. All right, to analyze the data, we are going to use the ATLAS protocol. So I want you to think about, as we review the data, what did you see in the data? What does the data suggest? What are the implications of the data? And what questions do the data raise? So we do know that language art is an area of growth for Montclair. I think we can all agree on that. 79% of the fourth grade students with current students with disabilities have performed at the beginning learning level for the 2020-2021 school year. And I just wanted to say that the third graders last year performed 79%. 79% of the third graders last year were developing learners. And so those third graders are now fourth graders. So now that you see the data, 79% of the fourth graders that we currently have, because those were the students that tested last year, so those are our fourth graders now, 79% of them performed at the beginning level. 70% of the fifth graders who were fourth graders last year performed at 70%. So I want you to know exactly where we got that number from. It's the students that tested last year, but they're now in their current grade level. So 79% for our current fourth graders who were third graders last year, 70% for the fifth graders who were fourth graders last year. And then 80% of the fourth grade students with disability have not met the district grade level mean according to the MAP assessment. And 84% of the fifth graders have not met the district requirements based on the MAP assessment. And then both students in resource and the general education co-taught setting, achievement scores were similar. So we didn't really see if a student is in resource versus co-teaching, you know, that there really wasn't a significant difference in the data that we saw or in the scores. And so we know that, you know, basically both students are on the same level. So there wasn't a difference between students that were in resource versus students who are receiving co-taught services. All right, so what is the data telling us? Interpreting the data. The data is telling us that we should put more focus on increasing reading scores for fourth and fifth grade students. Also, we need to look at the students with disability. You know, we need to do a little bit more intense specialized instructions. I know that we use the IEP and the goal was to kind of, you know, drive our instructions, but we need to do a little bit more specialized instructions to make sure that we are providing students with those unique reading strategies to see some growth. Reading strategies should be taught to assist with reading fluencies and answering comprehension questions. And we also need to look at the type of instructional strategies as teachers we are using in the classroom to address these reading deficits. So we need to take a look at ourselves and say, you know, what we have been doing in the past maybe is not working. So what type of new instructional strategies or best practices can we implement as teachers to help best meet the needs of our students? So some implications: we can increase the uses of small group instruction within the co-taught classroom, okay? So we can do some more intense small group instruction within the co-taught setting to help move those co-taught students. We can also utilize fill in the gap programs, such as any special ed kind of fill in the gap programs, such as Alexia Core Reading 5, Teach Town, those type of programs that are used for students with disabilities to help fill in those gaps to see if we can increase those reading scores. So just some following questions that were raised. Again, what instructional strategies are being utilized in the classroom? What programs are available to help students improve their reading scores? As co-teachers, are we differentiating assignments based on the needs of the students outlined in the student's IEP? We know that all students they don't learn the same way. So what are we doing as teachers to make sure that if we have a kinesthetic learner or textile learner, or a student that's auditory, what are we doing to help meet the needs of that student so we can ensure that that student is growing based on their learning style. So now, here's the question. What do we do? Just based on all the information that was presented, all of the data, what do we do? How do we help our students with disabilities make progress within ELA? So, data shows low reading scores across the board in ELA. That's across the board. No gains have been made in ELA for students with disability. Perception data indicates that teachers are somewhat comfortable teaching students with disabilities, but co-teachers may require some additional training on instructional strategies and basically how to differentiate instructions and how to give that intentional instruction to our students. So as a team, we need to focus on how do we improve reading scores for students with disabilities through small group instruction, because we did mention small group instruction, and fill in the gap programs. So what's our plans? What's our next step? As teachers, ELA teachers will turn in scores and analyze pre and post unit tests. Give the student the pre-test, and that will tell you how well you've implemented those instructional strategies that we're going to be implementing. It will tell you if they work. Maybe you decided to use some different type of manipulatives, and the unit test, just the child scored a 10, the student scored a 10, but on the post test, they've made some gains because you have implemented X, Y, and Z strategies, so we should see some growth. You're going to turn in your weekly uses of preferred co-teaching models. So we're going to, look at some different co-teaching models to make sure that we are doing some parallel teaching, making sure that we are using some effective strategies, modeling in the classroom. We are going to analyze MAP assessment. So the information that we reviewed was based on the fall MAP assessment. And so students will be taking a winter assessment in a couple of weeks. So after we implement all these strategies and all this plan into place, will we see some growth when we are ready to take the winter MAP assessment? We will also have some PLCs that will focus on small group instruction. We may need to revisit it as a team, as a special ed team. And then we'll also look at lesson plans and making sure that we are differentiating instruction. There's so many resources out there that we can use for students who are on different reading levels. We could be reading the same story, but that story can be on very different reading levels. So are we differentiating instruction? Are we using fill in the gap programs with Fidelity? It's one thing to have those programs available to us, but are we ensuring that are we taking the time out to make sure that the students are logging on daily so they can get that extra practice and that reinforcement? And we as teachers, we have to make sure that we're doing that with Fidelity, that we're doing it constantly, because if we're only doing it every other week, then no, we're not going to see the growth that we anticipate to see. So if we're doing it with Fidelity, if we're doing it every day or every other day, then hopefully we should see some growth. We will continue to meet as a team to analyze data and make adjustments as needed, just based on our data meetings. So in conclusion, we as a team determined that ELA is an area of weakness for our school, and we're going to focus on current 4th and 5th grade students. And then we hope that if we implement effective instructional strategies and fill in the gap programs, that we will see some improvement in our reading scores. Are there any questions as a team that we need to address, or just any concerns or any feedback you would like to give about the data that was presented before we conclude the meeting?
take on those action steps that you presented, we can push our fourth and fifth grade students ELA. Really, like we
Wait a
can
minute.
motivate them to get pushed to that next band by the end of the year.
Are you guys here, Mr. Dickens?
No, he sounds very far away.
Okay, I'm gonna mute. Go ahead, Mr.
We can't hear him if he's talking.
Oh, they can't hear you. So I can come over. Oh, you come over. Okay.
Okay, hello you all. I was just saying that looking at what Mrs. Atkins presented with as far as our situation at Montclair, our current situation with students data-wise, and just looking at the action steps, it does look likely that we can push our students from fourth and fifth grade in ELA from beginning to developing, and we can get them kind of back on track. Most of the students seem like they are coming in willing to learn, and we had that big gap throughout the pandemic, but bringing them back into the building, the students are starting to get more normalized with things and back into their normal routines. And so just keeping those effective instructional strategies in there and using these fill in the gap reading programs, I really believe we should see progress and growth. Thank you for that, Ms. Atkins.
Right, absolutely. And I would also like to note that, as Mr. Dickens said, we do have the students that are coming to school that are willing to learn. And we don't have any students that are currently virtual, any students with disabilities that are virtual. And so that way we're able to do more hands-on activities with them because they are in the building. And so hopefully just implementing our plan and going forward, that we would see some growth in the area of ELA for our students. We have any more questions or feedback?
Ms. Atkins,
Mm-hmm.
what fill in the gap programs are you going to use? Oh,
Okay, we are going to use Teachtown and Lexia Core reading. Now we're mainly going to use Lexia Core reading, but we will use the Teachtown for those students who are maybe 2 or 3 grade levels below. So primarily we will be using Lexia Core reading.
and you said that you guys will do it with Fidelity. And for this program, what will be Fidelity? How many times a week and how long each time?
Okay, at least 3 to 4 times per week, and we're planning to do it in the morning. So that will be a part of the students' morning assignment. And so we would like for them to do it at least 3 to 4 times a week from 15 to 20 minutes. And of course, if we have some downtime, then we will encourage that student to get on Lexia Core for additional practice and reinforcement.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions or any more suggestions we can use?
No questions, Ms. Atkins. Thank you for the data. Just to support what Mr. Dickens said, absolutely. I feel like they're coming to school, they're participating more, and they are actually using those programs. So if we continue to use those, I think we'll be able to push those students forward.
Exactly. And I think that the programs are interactive, and I think the program is not boring, it's interesting, it's engaging, and so that should help also to increase our scores.
And I will also include, you may have to go on mute. I will also include that, I'm sorry, I'm echoing. Just by us implementing our differentiated instruction this year, making sure that we're covering all bases with all of our students should help improve our students' scores as well. So having our ESOL teachers, our SPED teachers, and our homeroom teachers all on board with delivering differentiated instruction should yield major growth this year, with our focus being in that for all subject areas.
Mhm. Absolutely, Ms. Calhoun. All right, team, do we have any more questions or feedback? All right. If not, as a ticket out the door, to close this presentation, I would like for you to scan the QR code and complete the survey. And when we come back to meet again, we will review the results of the survey and analyze that data and go from there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, team. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your participation, and I really appreciate your feedback.
Thank you, Mrs. Atkins. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Ms.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.